embrace the universal Dharma realm. Bring luminous white light to the black iron perimeter of hell, removing in an instant the suffering caused by the three evil ways. A mountain of swords is destroyed, and all sentient beings enter enlightenment together. Homage to the Master Teacher, Vairocana Buddha, compassionate Lord of the lotus-born universe, expounding the treasured verses of the sacred golden text contained within precious cases written on jade scrolls. Each dust mote interpenetrates, and the universe becomes one. Every realm is united with all other worlds. The truth is contained in the 1,095,048 words of the utmost vehicle's consummate teaching. Homage to the Avatamsaka Sutra, expounded by the Buddha. To understand the Buddhas of endless time, just penetrate this phrase. Everything is created by mind alone. The mantra of shattering hell. Namvata Shidinam Samyak Sambuddhaguchinam Om Ajanabhavasi Jiri Jiri Om. Namvata Shidinam Samyak Sambuddhaguchinam Om Ajanabhavasi Jiri Jiri Om. Namvata Shidinam Samyak Sambuddhaguchinam Om Ajanabhavasi Jiri Jiri Om. Vowing now for the rest of my life not to give rise to extraneous thoughts, following only Amitabha Buddha. Thought after thought will constantly merge with the rays of his jade-like brilliance, each instant never leaving the qualities of his golden form. Holding a mala, bearing witness to the universal Dharma realm, empty space is but a thread, leaving nothing unconnected. There is nowhere that Rokana Buddha is not present equally. Through contemplation, seek Amitabha of the Western Shore. Homage to the great teaching master, Lord of the Western Shore, the Buddha, the Tathagata of infinite light. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. The land of ultimate bliss has 10 kinds of adornment. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. It is adorned with Dharmakara's vow, his cultivation cause. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the power of Amitabha's 48 vows. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's name and the brilliance of his life force. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the bejeweled images observed by the three Mahasattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the peaceful bliss of Amitabha's Western world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled rivers running with pure and meritorious waters. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled basilicas with halls of wish-fulfilling jewels. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with lengthy days and nights. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the Pure Land's 24 kinds of pleasures. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the 30 kinds of beneficial marriage. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha, who is unparalleled in heaven or on earth. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He is also unmasked throughout the worlds of the 10 directions. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He has seen the annihilation of self in everything in the world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. There is no one who is like Amitabha Buddha. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can keep track of thoughts as numerous as all the dust motes in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can quaff all the waters in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can control the wind that fills space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. No one can completely describe that Buddha's merits. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is omnipresent. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Keep your thoughts on him and never forget, as thoughts probe that place of no thought. The 6 sense gates will constantly emanate light of purple and gold. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's face, like the full moon, is at the front of the hall of ultimate bliss. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. His jade excrescence and his gold form radiate through space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. If a person call his name for only a moment, they will instantly consummate immeasurable merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. the seed of Amitabha's great vows, and to ferry across sentient beings, so that I and others may simultaneously complete the path to Buddhahood. The sublime mantra of the original mind of Amitabha Buddha. Om Yata Om Maritara Sabha. 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 Om Yata
Good morning. Happy birthday, all you Buddhas out there. It's wonderful to be here in the Grand Rapids Temple this morning on Buddha's birthday. And we did just a little bit of decoration. I hope you can see it with the flowers, and of course brought out the baby Buddha, which as we go on, we'll move the camera closer so that you can see that when we get to the bathing of the baby Buddha. For now, we will get started. We're going to do full Yebul this morning. And again, normally we would do this facing towards the altar, but for live streaming purposes, we will do this facing you so you can see us and hear us better. Everyone can hear us okay? I have to look. Temple looks beautiful, yes. Hi, Barb. Nathan, I can see you. Shane, hello. Good morning, everyone. All right, we'll get started. I was just thinking to myself, I should tell you all to be seated now, but you're probably already seated. Excuse me. Do the 3 refuges in English. I
Go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts.
So good morning again, everyone. You want to sit down so you can listen to me. Standing for this part. I will stay standing so that everyone can see me fairly well. And I'd like to start off by saying that birth always fills us with joy and brings us together and gives us a reason to celebrate. It's something that we really can appreciate and really need right now. Now, the birth of Siddhartha Gautama happened 2,644 years ago in the northern region of India near what is now Nepal. And the sutra that describes the birth of the Buddha was written down hundreds of years after his death. And in this sutra, the scenario begins like this. So there were a number of monks that were all gathering together in order to eat after they had returned from their alms round. So after they were done eating, they all sat around together and started discussing with each other about how great the Buddha was. This was during a time when the Buddha was still alive. And among the group of monks was the Buddha's personal attendant, Ananda. And they were all discussing, they were saying that how amazing it is that the Buddha has this ability to recall the lives of all of the Buddhas of the past. And he can recall their lives in great detail. And so Ananda, who he himself has like a photographic memory, he remembers every teaching that the Buddha has ever given, word for word. And so he agrees with the rest of the monks that all Buddhas, all Tathagatas, have wonderful and marvelous qualities. And he's about to go on when suddenly the Buddha comes in. And the Buddha himself walks in and sits down, and he says to the monks, "What was it that you were talking about? What was it that you were discussing before I came in?" So they tell him what they had said, and then Buddha sort of puts Ananda on the spot, and he asks Ananda to explain to him more fully what the wonderful and marvelous qualities of the Tathagata are. And again, the Tathagata is the name that the Buddha uses for himself. So Ananda searches his memory, and he recalls all of the wonderful and marvelous things that he can think of that he heard the Buddha himself say over the years. And he comes up with this list of 15 things that center all around the birth of the Blessed One. Now, while every birth is indeed wonderful and marvelous, we can imagine that the birth of such a great teacher as the Buddha must have been truly exceptional. So the things that Ananda talks about have sort of this myth-like quality. And perhaps some of the characters are possibly or probably exaggerated, but they would be exaggerated according to the time and the culture that they lived in, so that it would make a pretty good story, right? And maybe those details might be inspiring to other people. So as is the tradition, I would like to read through those 15 things that Ananda recited. I think I'll read them if you will do the bell. Yes. I'm switching things on. Can you hand me that when you're ready? Can everyone still hear me okay? Sounds great, thanks. Hello, Ellen. Hello, Pete. This is the Karya Abhuta Sutta, Sutta number 123 from the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length discourses of the Buddha. And it's entitled Wonderful and Marvelous. So Ananda says, "These are the things that I have heard from the Buddha's own mouth that were wonderful and marvelous. That mindful and fully aware, the Bodhisattva appeared in the Tusita heaven. That mindful and fully aware, the Bodhisattva remained in the Tusita heaven. For the whole of his lifespan, the Bodhisattva remained in the Tusita heaven. The Bodhisattva passed away from the Tusita heaven and descended into his mother's womb. When the Bodhisattva passed away from the Tusita heaven and descended into his mother's womb, then a great immeasurable light, surpassing the splendor of the gods, appeared in the world with its gods, its Maras, and its Brahmas. In this generation with its recluses and Brahmins, with its princes and its people. And even in those abysmal world interspaces of vacancy, gloom, and utter darkness, where the moon and the sun, mighty and powerful as they are, cannot make their light prevail. There too a great, immeasurable light, surpassing the splendor of the gods, appeared, and the beings born there perceived each other by that light. When the Bodhisattva had descended into his mother's womb, 4 young deities came to guard him at the 4 quarters, so that no humans or non-humans or anyone at all could harm the Bodhisattva or his mother. When the Bodhisattva had descended into his mother's womb, she became intrinsically virtuous, refraining from killing living beings, from taking what is not given, from misconduct and sensual pleasures, from false speech, and from wines, liquors, and intoxicants, which are the basis of negligence. When the Bodhisattva had descended into his mother's womb, no kind of affliction arose in her. She was blissful and free from bodily fatigue. She saw the Bodhisattva within her womb with all his limbs, lacking no faculty. 7 days after the birth of the Bodhisattva, his mother died and reappeared in the Tasita heaven. The Bodhisattva's mother gave birth after carrying him in her womb for exactly 10 months. The Bodhisattva's mother gave birth to him standing up. When the Bodhisattva came forth from his mother's womb, he did not touch the earth. The 4 young gods received him and set him before his mother, saying, "Rejoice, O Queen, a son of great power has been born to you." When the Bodhisattva came forth from his mother's womb, he came forth unsullied, unsmeared by water or humors or blood of any kind of impurity, clean and unsullied, or the cloth, the gem. Why is that? Because of the purity of both. As soon as the Bodhisattva was born, he stood firmly with his feet on the ground. Then he took 7 steps north, and with a white parasol held over him, he surveyed each quarter and uttered the words of the leader of the herd, "I am the highest in the world. I am the best in the world. I am the foremost in the world. This is my last birth. Now there is no renewal of being for me." When the Bodhisattva came forth from his mother's womb, then a great immeasurable light surpassing the splendor of the gods appeared in the world with its gods, its Maras, and its Brahmas. In this generation, with its recluses and Brahmins, and with its princes and its people, and even in those abysmal world interspaces of vacancy, gloom, and utter darkness, where the moon and the sun, mighty and powerful as they are, cannot make their light prevail, there too a great immeasurable light, surpassing the splendor of the gods, appeared, and the beings born there perceived each other by that light. And I'll stop there from quoting directly from the sutra, because when Ananda was done reciting those 15 very detailed things, the Buddha said to him, "That means so, Ananda. Remember this too, as a wonderful and marvelous quality of the Tathagata. Hear, Ananda, for the Tathagata, feelings are known as they arise, as they are present, and as they disappear. Perceptions are known as they arise, as they are present, and as they disappear. As they are present, and as they disappear." Just a moment. I'm getting a message, if you can hear me, that the connection was unstable for a moment. So just pausing for a moment while it reconnected. And so when the Buddha turned to Ananda and said, yes, those are things that you have heard me say, but he said, remember this too. At that moment, the Buddha moved aside this veil of myth that separated him from all the other monks that were sitting there. And he pointed out to them the purpose, the very purpose of their practice. To know and be mindfully aware of feelings, of perceptions, and of thoughts as they arise, as they are present, and as they disappear. For this is the practice that leads to the end of suffering. And so Ananda repeated back what the Buddha told him, what the Buddha had told him, in order for him to be able to commit that to his memory. And when he repeats it back, the Buddha approves, and all of the monks are delighted and satisfied with this new teaching. So today we take part in traditions for Buddha's birthday that are probably almost as old as the myths. But the sacredness of these rituals is not in the actions, not in the ritual itself, but in what we are bringing to the ritual. What we bring with our hearts and what we bring with our minds. So we're going to move on and do the bathing of the baby Buddha statue. And this is a long-held tradition in Buddhist countries of the Buddha statue and bathing it in tea. And so the ritual itself, for you at home, you might not have a golden or brass baby Buddha statue and some tea, but perhaps you might have a plant that needs watering, right? So I encourage you, while we go through this ritual, to water that plant while we chant Sugamoni Bul. And as you do so, I want you to bring your full awareness and all of your attention to the action itself. Picking up the water, holding the water over the pot, letting it pour slowly and mindfully aware as you watch the water pour into the pot. It is that mindful and aware action that is the practice that leads to the end of all suffering. And so we can practice it in every moment. So I encourage you, as we move the camera forward and arrange ourselves so that you can get a good view of the bathing of the baby Buddha, find something that you can do at home to help you participate in this most wonderful ritual. So now is the part of our Buddha's birthday celebration where we do some fun things. And this will be a little bit harder without all of you here that I can see, but I want to go ahead and do something for the kids. If there's any kids out there, any families out there that would like to participate in the Happy Birthday Buddha song. And so it's a tradition to sing this song. There's no hand motions for this one, but perhaps if you know it, you can sing it along with me. Does a dog have Buddha nature? Buddha nature, Buddha nature. Does a dog have Buddha nature? Buddha nature, Buddha nature. And now, as an answer, we have to find the Buddha nature within dogs. And so our answer is woof, 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 woof. Happy birthday, Buddha. Happy birthday, Buddha. Happy birthday, Buddha. 'Cause Buddha's birthday is always every day. 'Cause Buddha's birthday is always every day. Even now, even now. Now! So the dog is how we would traditionally start it. But let's do a cat. Does a cat have Buddha nature? Buddha nature, Buddha nature. Does a cat have Buddha nature? Buddha nature, Buddha nature. Okay, you have any cat emojis out there, or let me hear you meow. Meow. Any meows out there in the chat? There we go. Got a few meows out of there. Happy birthday, Buddha. Happy birthday, Buddha. Happy birthday, Buddha. 'Cause Buddha's birthday is always every day. 'Cause Buddha's birthday is always every day. Even now. Even now. Now! All right, good job. I like to see all the cat emojis. And so one more song that we can sing together. Boy, I miss having Sangha school. I miss seeing all the kids. And can't wait till we can get back together again and see all of your wonderful faces. Don't forget that after the service today, we'll be doing an ET, a virtual tea, going through that Google Hangouts Meet link that was sent out in the newsletter. And so don't forget to check there, check the newsletter, and find that link, and then we can have a little bit of interaction and check in with all of you. So the last song that I will sing before we do our announcements and closing gathas is called Breathing In, Breathing Out. And so those of you who have been down for Sangha school, hopefully you remember it and can do the hand motions or sing along with me from home. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free. I am free. I am free. Wonderful. It's hard for me to see the deep bows. Yes. So for the announcements, let me get a little bit closer so you can see me. Of course, the stay-at-home order has been extended through the middle of May. So we are not there yet, but we will continue. We are hoping to get to the point where we can live stream services every Sunday if possible. We're not quite there yet because what we would like to do is to be able to have Amko and Yangsu to also be able to participate with the live stream. And we're not quite there yet. We're working on it. But if we have no other services going on, we will be doing, we will certainly continue to do the sharing of merit ceremony that Ansu and I have been doing every Sunday. We won't be doing that today because of this live stream and with the ET afterwards. So, but I still do, I would like to just to honor and take a moment to acknowledge all of the suffering that is happening out there. And this is my way of trying to stay in touch with it. And each Sunday, I gather up all the numbers from the various websites, from the Kent County Health Department, from Michigan.gov, from the CDC's website, and from the World Health Organization's website, to gather the numbers together. And so I would like to say, from our sharing of merit ceremony, inequality among all beings, with open-hearted compassion for those who are facing any mental or physical challenges, who are sick, being treated for sickness, suffering isolation and loneliness, or close to death. We now hold it all in our hearts and minds. To the 980 cases in Kent County and 31 deaths, the 37,203 cases in Michigan, and 3,274 deaths, the 895,766 cases in the United States, and the 50,439 deaths, 719,897 cases worldwide. I'm going to pause just a moment as the connection is unstable. All right, just a brief pause there while the connection kind of timed out. The 187,705 deaths worldwide, and all those not yet reported. And I want to encourage you, if you know of someone that you would like to include in our sharing of merit ceremony, just send us an email. You can send it to Ansu, and we'll collect those prayers and those dedications and recite them. The ones that we have gotten already, we continue to recite them every Sunday, and so we will keep doing that until this crisis hopefully ends. So from all of us here, Ansu and I, and Anwin is actually here as well today to help us with a little bit of camera work and to take some photos that we hope to post. But thank you for joining us. We will now end with the closing Gathas. We say together,
For all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passions, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain.
All right, thank you for joining us on our live stream. And give us just a few minutes. We will get set up for our ET on Google Hangouts Meet.